All together, and you really don't. You forget to put the camera on. You forget to take down the banner that's doing the show. There we are. Greetings and hello, my friends. Hope this day finds you safe, healthy, and happy. And whatever you're doing, wherever you're doing it, you are just absolutely living your best life. I got to close the door here. Pardon the slamming noise. There you go. It didn't slam. What do you know? Yeah. So it is Thursday, the third day of October in 2024. It is a week approximately since the incredible hurricane Helene that passed through, came up from the Gulf, hit Florida, and then kind of made almost kind of a little western bend and came straight up through Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky. Did monstrous damage in Florida and also here in my home state of North Carolina, in the mountains of North Carolina. There's a city in North Carolina called Asheville, which is an historic city. It's actually there's a CSL there. There's a Center for Spiritual Living there. Reverend Susie, whose last name just completely escapes me. They were fine. I believe they're kind of in a higher ground area of Asheville. But Asheville was an amazing arts district. My wife and I visited there last year, just completely devastated, unbelievable. And I have friends in Florida who have an incredible house right on the Gulf, right? In Tarpon Springs, Florida. They're right on the Gulf. And they had their house literally, I think their house is probably 20 foot higher on a hill over on the ocean, on a hill, 20 foot higher than high tide. I'm going to say that's maybe 15 feet. But the hurricane brought them 4 foot of water on the first floor of their house. Destroyed everything on the first floor, cutting out the drywall 4 foot up, destroyed their dock, which is their dock is, you have to walk out a 50-foot boardwalk to get to the dock. And the boardwalk is over the water. And they have a pontoon boat out there that I think took some damage as well. But just incredible damage to Florida. It's you see those things and you see them, you see the coverage, whatever, on those storms and that kind of stuff. It's and it's always kind of, oh my God, those poor people and blah, blah, blah. But the flip side of that coin is when it's friends of yours, when it's people and these are people that are very, very dear to me. It's another thing altogether. So we actually sent them some money. They had a GoFundMe page because so many of those people who live in those circumstances do not have flood insurance because flood insurance is prohibitively expensive in the areas where you might get a flood. Gee, imagine that. Anyway, that's another story altogether. That's a whole other workshop, as Barry Ebert would say. Excuse me, I'll have a sip here. I'm having a sip of tea. Drinking a little throat coat tea with honey and lemon. The reason is because I seem to have a kind of a lingering cough from COVID, I believe is what it's from, a COVID leftover. And that's not fun. It's getting better. I've been going to a little acupuncture has helped it. And the tea has helped. And one of the reasons I haven't done a show in, I don't know, 3 weeks, maybe, I haven't done a show is because it was hard to talk for even 10 or 15 minutes because I would cough. So now it's like it's a feeling that I constantly have to clear my throat. So have a little throat coat tea. It seems to help. Also found some cough drops at work too. Anyway, so I had something else on my mind there, but we're supposed to start every show with Dr. Holmes, and I just kind of went off on my own thing there because I had such a confusing start to the show. I guess that's what happens. You don't do a show for 3 weeks, you don't know what the hell you're doing anymore. So here we go. It is because your mind has the prerogative of accepting or rejecting that the Bible states, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in and sup with him, and he with me." Suppose, with utmost simplicity, you accept the spirit that is in you, not in the mountain, not at Jerusalem, not even in the temple, although it is there also, but in you, the spirit of yourself. Standing between this spirit, your physical body, and external affairs, there is the sum total of your thinking, believing, and feeling. That is, of course, reading from Dr. Ernest Holmes and this thing called You. My favorite book. I've been, years ago, I don't know if I ever mentioned this here. Well, I'm sure I mentioned it somewhere along. Years ago, from like 2009 to 2013, I did an internet radio show on Skype called What We're Thinking About. And if you recognize that name, it's because it's the name of a great song by Barry Eber, which was my bump music, What We're Thinking About. I think somewhere along the line, I'm going to incorporate that into this show as well. But, and I read from this thing called You, the beginning of every single show. And it's actually where I launched my show from. I never really had any idea what I was going to talk about. I would just read from the book and take off from there, and we see where it went. So today I had the thought in my meditation. Well, actually, not just in my meditation, it's something I've been thinking about lately, but I kind of gelled in my meditation this morning. I know I've mentioned to you folks that I have a new friend here in North Carolina, a former Christian pastor, who discovered metaphysics. And my understanding, he was kind of halfway left the church and halfway got drummed out because his belief system started to shift, and it didn't quite fit into the kind of evangelical Christian mold. And I believe he was an evangelical, or at least a Baptist. But he and I meet every Wednesday for coffee. And yesterday, when we were meeting for coffee, we had a conversation, and we have great conversations, political, spiritual. We cover all the bases. A lot of politics these days because of what's going on. It's such turmoil, such craziness, such insanity. But the subject that came up was from my perspective. We have been, I think all of us get the idea, we live in the information age. I think the information age is just about over. I think we now live in the disinformation age. And AI is going to exponentially make that worse. I'm convinced of that. I could be wrong, or maybe I hope I'm wrong, but I don't see how we are going to get back to a place where we are living in the realm, all of us living in a realm with the same kinds of information. Now, I'm not so much of a Pollyanna that I believe that there was ever a time where we all had the same bit of information. There was always people who were dealing in information outside of what the mainstream was or what the norm was. I mean, and if you want to get a little bit of an insight into that, Rachel Maddow's book Prequel will give you a great idea of that. I mean, all the way back into the 19-teens, the 1920s and 30s, and of course into the 1940s with the Second World War, there was a lot of fascist mindset and a lot of people who believed that fascism was the way to go, and there were lots of plans to undermine the government and undermine democracy, and so that kind of thought has always been around. The alternative thought, I'm not specifically pointing to that as it's an easy reference to what's going on today, but that's not the point. The point is that we have always had different sets of information for different people. But now we come to the age of the internet, and we have this ability to exponentially increase the distribution of alternative information. And the correlation to alternative information is disinformation and misinformation, which is basically you have a different belief system. So, and that's fine. But what you then do is create information around my belief system that is wrong, incorrect, lying, dysfunctional, whatever, in order to undermine my belief system. I think we're in a situation now where we are in the misinformation, the disinformation time. It's not information era, it's the disinformation era. I believe that's where we're at. And what it has done is it has absolutely crippled our ability to have civil discourse, our ability to have a civil conversation. We even see it on media programs where you have people with two divergent points of view. And too often it devolves into an argument. or it devolves into one person calling the other person a liar, or one person blatantly lying and everybody knows it. And the mindset seems to be in the eyes of the demagogues who are perpetrating this kind of energy, is that if you just continue to repeat the same lie over and over and over and over and over again, it eventually becomes the truth. And now, as we get into the infancy, I guess you will, of AI, AI is going to compound that felony. It's going to allow those who wish to spread disinformation an ability to do it in a more sophisticated fashion, in a more deep fake fashion, which would, if you don't know what that is, basically, if take some icon, some I don't know, Tom Selleck, okay, bad example. Let's take Jane Fonda, okay, good example, because she's got a political history. You take Jane Fonda, and deep fakes would allow you now to have a commercial or an interview even, or whatever, with Jane Fonda actually saying things that are completely opposite of Jane Fonda's point of view, in order to undermine her point of view and to reinforce the point of view of those who might be opposed to Jane Fonda's point of view. Not that Jane Fonda matters in the equation. It's just simply the ability to mimic facial expressions, facial movements, mouth movements, and to absolutely clone artificially the voice of someone, which has been around for years, actually. But that is without a doubt, that's going to contribute to continuation and the proliferation of disinformation and the polarization of our people. And I just don't mean the United States either. I mean, the polarization of people around the world is happening every day. What we're going through in this country with the polarization of our points of view is happening in virtually every other country in the world, particularly every other industrial country. I don't know what the words are anymore. It's not civilized country, because pretty much everybody's civilized at one level or another. But it's the countries that I guess industrial countries, I guess is what I mean. The second and first world countries, if you will, countries that have overall access to the internet and to media. Those people are going to be exposed to a continuing flow of AI generated misinformation. And the question is, we've lost our ability to have civil discourse. We've lost our ability to have a civil conversation about many, many, many subjects, political subjects, religious subjects. I grew up at a time where there were two things you never talked about at a party: religion and politics. I think that has helped lead to a time now in history where we're totally incapable of talking about religion and politics, and particularly because they are now so polarized and so divided in the points of view and the worldview. So I don't see it getting better. I don't see it's possible for it to get better as technology continues to move forward. The ability to take any point of view and express it and counterpoint to it, bastardize it, that's going to increase exponentially. And we will not get any closer to having the same set of facts from which to fashion our beliefs and our thoughts. The conspiracy theories, so many, I mean, there's always been conspiracy theories. They are now, again, exponentially more of them because of the internet, and that's going to grow with AI. But conspiracy theories have one thing in common, and that is that a certain person or people believe a certain thing. And let's say it's something, let's just, for the sake of argument, for the sake of this argument, let's just say it is something completely false. It is something that is completely untrue, but this person absolutely believes it. And in that belief, they are going to they're going to want that belief to always be true. And in that desire to have it be true, they are going to seek out information from whatever resource, from whatever sewer, if you will, they need to go to in order to reinforce their belief. Now, in the disinformation age here, if you are looking for those things on the internet, the algorithms on the internet are now going to feed you more of that same BS to reinforce your BS belief. That also translates to what you watch by choice on the internet, but also television. I mean, I've said this a million times. People want to blame the media for this, that, and the other thing, and their biases and blah, blah, blah. The media's bias is your bias. The media's bias is my bias. The media feeds me exactly what I want to see because I choose to watch the media that I choose to watch. And there are billions of dollars being poured into that media by advertisers and supporters in order to be sure that the message that they're supporting gets told to the people who are watching it, which is me, who have chosen to watch it. So in essence, not a whole lot of difference between any of us and conspiracy theorists. We all have our belief system. We all want our belief system to be true, and we'll all pursue whatever avenue we need to pursue in order to have the feedback loop that our belief system is true. Our belief system is right. I think if you're someone who is how do you say this? If you're someone who is dealing in the truth, and when you are questioning whether or not what you believe is the truth, and you go looking for things to either reinforce or change your belief, okay, that's real critical thinking. When you're looking for things that might change your belief, or you're open to taking them in and analyzing them, that's really truly critical thinking. If you're doing that, then everything that you are taking in is also going to feed your ability to pursue that. And you're going to see things, read things, watch things that will reinforce the positive. Now, if you're looking to reinforce the positive, and you're pursuing those avenues, then you are the person who is capable of having civil discourse. You're the person who can change the direction of at least the interactions in your world, where you can talk to people who disagree with you, people with different points of view, and you can actually have a conversation. And the conversation is not the conversation we're having now, where it's an argument. It's not denigrating one another. It's not trying to be right. It's not trying to prove the other person wrong. It's a conversation around the divergent points of view. And oh, by the way, what would maybe be the commonalities of those points of view? So while I'm very pessimistic about our ability to change the course of this, as Barry Ebert says, and what we're thinking about, we're bunkered into high-walled camps left and right, it seems. There ain't nobody talking when everybody screams. I think that that's not going to get any better. I think the walls are just going to get higher, and we're just going to be screaming louder and louder and louder. But that doesn't mean that you and I can't change our own personal space and be less affected by that insanity. Less, if you will, less infected by that insanity. So yeah, the possibility to change what's going on in the world around our political discourse, our religious discourse, our whatever is polarizing us, our ability to change that, I believe, is limited just to ourselves, just to you and to me. Make the decision to just be sure and clear. I am not going to get caught up in that left and right BS, and I'm going to be as open as I possibly can to whatever else is out there. Be open to the possibilities. Okay. I'll give you an example of possibilities. It has nothing to do with this subject. I mentioned earlier on the show about the hurricane and the damage to my friend's house in Tarpon Springs, Florida. One of my other friends went there to help them, lives not far from them, and he went down to help them. And while he was there, he made a video, And he showed, I mean, there's just an amazing amount of debris and stuff of their personal belongings that was destroyed. Just incredible. And you have to get it out of the house. Salt water is different from fresh water when there's a flood. Salt water destroys things, and destroys things pretty damn quickly. So you got to get everything out. You have to cut the drywall out and get the framing drying as quickly as you possibly can. You got to get the electrical wires out because it eats the electrical wires up. So it's really tough. So my friend Dave made this video. At the end of the video, he said, you can help by going to the GoFundMe page, if you would, and that's very cool. Or maybe just share this video. And I thought, wow, you know what? I'll share the video. And I did, I went to the GoFundMe page, but I also shared the video. I would not have thought to share the video of my own accord, just because of the nature of it. And so I shared it. A day later, a dear friend of mine out in Colorado sends me a text message. Ken, are these friends of yours? And I said, yes, they are dear friends of mine, and gave her the scenario of what happened. She said, I'd like to send them some money, which she did. And I sent a little note back to Dave, my friend who took the video, and I said, you know what? It always pays to explore the possibilities, to look at possibilities. Sharing that video created the possibility that someone who doesn't know any of those people knows me, okay, second degree of separation or whatever that is, and then contributed. I thought that was pretty extraordinary. So yeah, that's each of us changing possibilities by changing our attitude, our desire to know, and to pursue, always to pursue the positive. If the thought is a negative, if the conspiracy theory quotes is a negative, try to find what the good is. Try and find the positive in it. But always remember the people that you're dealing with who are involved in conspiracy theories, they're no different from you and me, in that their belief system is something they want to believe, and they will pursue anything and everything they can to reinforce that belief. And not to be too repetitive, but in this disinformation age, they can find anything they want to reinforce any belief they want. And we need to be aware of that, and we need to not fight that, but we need to always be open to the idea that there's a conversation to be had, not an argument. So yeah, so that's what I had to say about that. This morning, reading at the end of my meditation, my Science of Mind 365. Did I get that in there without too much glare? Science of Mind 365. My daily guides there. You think this book has seen some time? This is another one that I put the spine together with packing tape like 3 or 4 different times. It's like I got to hold it together when I open it up. Anyway, this morning there was just this one line in here. The spirit within me, being God, cannot be limited in any way. The spirit within me, being God, cannot be limited in any way. I have really been leaning in my meditation in the last many weeks into the idea that everything I am is God in form. I have always talked in terms of there's no place where God is not. God is in every cell of my being and every space between every cell. And that's really not the whole picture. God is every cell in my being. God is the space between every cell. God isn't in those. God is those. And as every cell of my being is part of the spirit within me, which we call God, it cannot be limited in any way. Well, does that then say to me that the things that ail me, the things that are not quite 100% according to Hoyle in my being, my body, my physicality, am I totally in control of them? And I've really gone deeper into the idea of the science of mind and spiritual mind treatment to affirm that God is in, around, through, and as me, and that anything and everything that is unlike the perfect physical pattern of my being is something I can change. I can cast out and wash away all that is not that perfection. Not only can I do that for myself, but in treatment, I can do that for others. I have a whole series of people that who I hold in prayer every single morning and at the end of my meditation, and that list rarely seems to get shorter. It always seems to get longer, which is unfortunate. But Holmes always said that if you don't see a demonstration for your treatment, continue treating, because treatment is not complete until there is a demonstration. So I continue to pray for all those people who I bless with my prayer. The spirit within me, which is God, cannot be limited in any way. The only other thing I wanted to talk about here in the way of stuff is I have never read historical books. And I said to my friend Mark yesterday, I said, I haven't read historical books because I didn't give a shit. But I think it's a time in history right now where we have got to pay attention to what has gone before. Because again, those who do not pay attention to history are destined to repeat it. And sometimes those who do are destined to watch those who repeat it. But the thing, that I mentioned about Rachel Maddow's book around prequel, that fascism has been with us for 100 years and continues to have a life in our politics now, and we can see that. Here's another book by Carol Anderson, One Person, No Vote. This is about, just started this book. It's pretty dense, pretty chewy, but it's done in the same kind of style as Rachel Maddow's, in that it tells a story of how the powers that be, oh, come on, powers that be, stop whitewashing that. How white Americans have twisted themselves into pretzels, done everything conceivable. They have undermined every law, every attempt to make sure that everyone had the right to vote. White, racist America has done everything it can to undermine those laws and to keep minorities from voting. And when I say white, racist America, the accent is on racist. I don't mean every white American. I mean the racist Americans. And we all know them. We all know who they are. And we all know how we feel about them. One last sip of my tea. Starting to feel the gravel in the back of my throat here from my persistent cough. Anyway, yeah, just a great, it feels like a great book. There's another book that was recommended to me I think it's called The Age of Revolutions by Farhid Zakaria, which is about the impact of all the different revolutions in our lives. It's not about war. It's about the Industrial Revolution, the Information Revolution, those kinds of things. That's the next book on my list. I would like you to always remember that New Thought Media is a nonprofit organization. We live and breathe by virtue of your donations. If you would, please go to newthoughtmedia.org. That's ntmedia.org. Click on donate, and we will be beyond grateful for anything and everything you send us. You want to reach me? Send me an email, teamrockitnow@gmail.com. You can find my beloved Lisa and I at our branded Facebook page, Vibrant Aging, which goes hand in hand with this show, Vibrant Living. The show is brought to you, as always, by HempWorks. HempWorks is the maker of so many incredible hemp-infused products, but two of my favorites are the hemp-infused coffee, 5 milligrams of CBD in every cup, along with some chaga mushrooms and other things for your health. I can drink this coffee late in the afternoon. It doesn't keep me awake at night. That's a good thing. And, of course, my CBD, my 750 milligram full spectrum CBD. This is just nature's magical plant medicine. HempWorks has more hemp-infused products than you'll find anywhere. We have the greatest variety of CBD oils, and the tinctures, you'll find them to be in different colors, different concentrations. We have in 500 milligrams, 750 milligram, 1500 milligram. I can't even remember how many flavors we have. We have the full spectrum CBD, which has that 0.3 milligrams or less of THC in them. But we also have the broad spectrum. Broad spectrum is THC free. So if you're one of those folks who has a very rare allergy to CBD, or if you or THC, or if you're someone who takes a very, very sensitive drug test for work, then you can use the broad spectrum, which has nothing in it to be detected. There is no THC there to be detected. The other products that go along with the HempWorks brand are under mydailychoice.com. You always go to my page directly, so you get the best pricing and the best information. mydailychoice.com/Ken Ludwig, and of course, HempWorks is hempworks.com/Ken Ludwig. And you know what? What did I do there? I just did something crazy. Did I do that right? Yeah, I did. There you go. It worked. Okay. That's it for me, gang. As always, I'm immensely grateful for the great gift of your time and your attention. I wish you all the love, all the blessings that the universe has to offer. I do this show I'm not doing it every anymore, but I do it most Thursdays, 2:00 Mountain Time, 4:00 Eastern Time. I hope you will join me. But until then, my friends, namaste.